The full, true story of the lost colony of Roanoke. The disappearance of the Roanoke colony. Who vanished? 115 English men, women, and children, comprising the entire population of the Roanoke colony. When sometime between late 1587 and August 1590, the full story, Part 1, the setup and the first colony, 1585-1586. The story begins with Sir Walter Raleigh, an English adventurer and courtier to Queen Elizabeth I. Eager to establish an English foothold in the New World to challenge Spanish dominance, he secured a charter from the Queen and sponsored an expedition to the coast of present-day North Carolina. The 1585 expedition. The first group of about 100 soldiers, under the command of Ralph Lane, settled on Roanoke Island. Their mission was military and scientific, to map the area, identify resources, and establish a base. Relations with the local Croatoan people, initially cautious, quickly deteriorated into conflict. The colony struggled with food shortages and relied heavily on the natives, leading to raids and violence. Abandonment. By June 1586, the situation was dire. Fortunately for them, Sir Francis Raleigh's fleet, under Sir Francis Drake, stopped at the colony after a raid in the Caribbean. The desperate colonists abandoned the settlement and sailed back to England with Drake. Part 2. The Lost Colony, the 1587. Raleigh was undeterred. His next attempt would be different, a permanent agricultural settlement of families, not just soldiers. The governor, John White, an artist and cartographer who had been part of the first expedition, was appointed governor. The settlers. The group of 115 people included White's own pregnant daughter, Eleanor, and her husband, Ananias Dare. They were a community of farmers and craftsmen seeking a new life. A change of plans. The colonists' intended destination was the Chesapeake Bay area, a location deemed more favorable. However, their ship's captain, Simon Fernandez, refused to take them further north than Roanoke Island. He argued they needed to check on the men left behind from the previous expedition, who were in fact gone. Stranded, they were forced to settle on Roanoke Island in July 1587. Trouble from the start. They found the fort of the previous colony razed and the skeletons of the 15 soldiers left behind. Relations with the local tribes were immediately tense, stemming from the violence of the previous colony. Just weeks after landing, a colonist named George Howe was killed by Croatoan warriors while fishing alone. The birth of Virginia Dare. On August 18, 1587, Eleanor Dare gave birth to a daughter named Virginia. She was the first English child born in the Americas. John White's reluctant departure. The colonists, fearing for their survival, pressured Governor White to sail back to England to personally plead for more supplies and reinforcements. He left reluctantly in late August 1587, leaving behind his daughter and infant granddaughter. Part 3. The Delay and the Discovery, 1588-1590. White's return was catastrophically delayed. The Spanish Armada. England was at war with Spain. In 1588, King Philip II of Spain launched his massive Invincible Armada to invade England. Every seaworthy English ship was pressed into naval service to defend the nation. White's relief mission was a low priority and could not secure passage. The long wait. It took White 3 years to finally return to Roanoke. He arrived on August 18, 1590, his granddaughter's 3rd birthday. What he found was a ghost town. The abandoned settlement. The fort and houses had been carefully dismantled, suggesting a planned relocation, not a panicked flight. There were no signs of a struggle or battle, and no graves were found. The clues. 1. The word Croatoan was carved into one of the palisade posts. 2. The letters CRO were carved into a nearby tree. 3. All the other signs and agreed-upon symbols White had arranged with the settlers, such as a Maltese cross to indicate they left under duress, were absent. Croatoan was the name of a friendly tribe that lived on what is now Hatteras Island, about 50 miles south, and also the name of the island itself. White planned to sail to Croatoan the next day, but a massive storm blew his ships out to sea. His captains refused to return, and White was forced to sail back to England, never knowing the fate of his family and the colonists. The theories: what happened to the lost colony? The mystery has endured for over 400 years. The main theories are: 1. Integration with a local tribe, the most likely theory. The Croatoan carving is the strongest evidence. The colonists, facing starvation and conflict, may have split into smaller groups and sought refuge with the friendly Croatoan, Hatteras people, or other Algonquian-speaking tribes further inland. Over generations, they would have been fully integrated into the native communities. Supporting evidence. Later English explorers and settlers in the 17th century reported encounters with native tribes who had gray eyes, spoke English, lived in European-style houses, and claimed descent from white people. The Lumbee tribe of North Carolina has a long oral history of English ancestry from the Roanoke settlers. 2. Violent end. The colony may have been attacked and wiped out by the hostile Secatan tribe or by the powerful Powhatan Confederacy to the north. Chief Powhatan himself later claimed to Captain John Smith that he had slaughtered the colonists to prevent them from aiding his enemies. However, this doesn't fully explain the lack of battle evidence in the Croatoan clue. For starvation and disease, the colonists simply may not have been able to survive. A severe drought, confirmed by tree ring data from the period, would have led to famine and conflict with natives over scarce resources. Disease could have also decimated their numbers. Failed relocation attempt. They may have tried to sail their small boat to the Chesapeake Bay as originally planned, but were lost at sea or perished in the attempt. The Siberian mix-up 1908. The event you mentioned in Siberia is the Tunguska event. On June 30th, 1908, a massive explosion flattened over 800 square miles of forest in a remote part of Siberia. For decades, it was a great mystery, with theories ranging from a UFO crash to a black hole. It is now widely accepted by scientists to have been an airburst from a large meteoroid or comet fragment that exploded 3 to 6 miles above the Earth's surface, releasing energy 1,000 times greater than the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima. The lack of a crater is because the object never actually struck the ground. In summary, the Roanoke colonists vanished from their settlement on the outer banks of North Carolina between 1587 and 1590. The leading theory, supported by the only clue they left behind, is that they disbanded and were absorbed into local Native American communities, their English identity fading into history.